Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Now, in our discussion of the summer of dupes, provocateurs, of gullibility and mass manipulation, centering now around the New York Mosque and, of course, Reverend Terry Jones and his various copycat retail competitors that are coming forward, we've got to stress the role of 9/11 in this, right? It's now 9 years since the 9/11 attacks, and the fact that we've still got mass gullibility, mass suggestibility at these levels is not a positive historical reflection on the 9/11 truth movement, which existed, began gathering force right after September 11, 2001, and which kept going until 2007 and was generally then swept away in 2008 as Obama sucked the oxygen out of the room, and even during 2007. I would call your attention to the essay which I wrote for the Giulietto Chiesa anthology. This is published in Italian and elsewhere, I think, in Europe in the meantime. And this is the question of what happened. If you go to one of the leading 9/11 truth websites, if we can still call them that, we get you do it today. It's the 10th of September. We get Peter Dale Scott telling us about the unanswered questions. Well, unfortunately, it is, after 9 years, too late in the day for anybody to be interested in unanswered questions. It was long ago time for answers. The unanswered question position was always weak, never adequate. One suspects that when the judgment day comes and the angel Gabriel blows his horn and the dead rise from their sepulchres, we're going to have a lot of people from the 9/11 truth movement who are going to jump up out of their graves with clutching a fistful of unanswered questions about 9/11. When do we get to the point? I think we were well beyond unanswered questions in 2006, 2007, and I think it's related to the relative historical failure of this movement to prevail, to succeed to some extent. Certainly it succeeded in preventing, it helped to prevent a new attack on Iran, and that's, I think, the unquestioned historical merit of this movement. But in terms of actually transforming, making breakthroughs in mainstream public opinion, this has not happened, and the marginalization of 9/11 truth indicates that the movement didn't really succeed in tapping into the full potential. I think there are two sides to it. First of all, what happened? Well, what happened, you need to know two things. You need to read my work, 9/11 Synthetic Terror, and then some later essays that add a few things to that. And that is that this was done by a faction of the U.S. intelligence community operating through drills, which are illegally hijacked and taken live and flipped live, according to a model which has been studied in many countries around the world. If you want to do an operation in the presence of a faction that doesn't want you to do it, you've got to smuggle it in, bootleg it in, under the cover of drills, and the drills go live. And the most obvious ones are Amalgam Virgo 2001, Amalgam Virgo 2002, because these are, let's do Amalgam Virgo 2002, obviously in preparation at this time. The scenario calls for a Delta 757 with actual Delta pilots and actors posing as passengers to fly from Salt Lake City, Utah to Honolulu, Hawaii. It would be hijacked by FBI agents posing as terrorists. A DC-9 would be hijacked by Canadian police near Vancouver, scheduled for June 2002, and obviously in preparation on September 11th. Maybe the key moment is in the summer of 2006. We get the tapes, the transcripts in Vanity Fair, I think, of the Northeast Air Defense Sector personnel. And we see this, the traffic, right, the various people talking back and forth. Is this real world or exercise, we're told, when we have a hijacked aircraft headed towards New York. We need someone to scramble some F-15s to help us out. Is this real world or exercise? No, this is not an exercise, not a test. Later on with commenting, I've never seen so much real world stuff happen during an exercise. Somebody started the exercise early. The hijack's not supposed to be for another hour. And then as the tragedy becomes obvious, one guy says, why don't we put the exercise on hold? What do you think? And, of course, the fake blips on the radar screen. I think this is a damn input, to be honest. All of that in Vanity Fair magazine. We've got NORAD, of course, the National Reconnaissance Office, Chantilly, Virginia. Top U.S. intelligence agency was to simulate plane crash into building on September 11th, 2001. U.S. intelligence agency was planning an exercise last September 11th in which an errant aircraft would crash into one of its buildings, apparently in Virginia. Collapse of buildings, REDX, readiness exercise. Scenario of plane crashes and building collapses drilled by New York City Office of Emergency Management, Fire Department, New York City Police Department, FBI, and FEMA in May of 2001. And that goes together with Tripod 2, which is going on 9/11. Cruise missile or drone attack on the Pentagon. Positive force 2001. Continuity of operations exercised by a dozen agencies, including NORAD, to drill plans for continuity of operations to maintain ability to respond under attack, including a series of simulated attacks against the maritime, surface, and aviation sectors. Original scenario involved a terrorist group hijacking a commercial airliner and flying it into the Pentagon, supposedly rejected by the Joint Staff as it was too unrealistic, but then, of course, it became realistic. And then Amalgam Virgo 2001, U.S.-Canada multi-agency drill scenario, NORAD involved. Third World Uninhabited Aerial Vehicle, UAV, most likely an NQM drone, launched from a rogue freighter in the Gulf of Mexico or a cruise missile from a barge in the Atlantic Ocean. This is testimony to the 9/11 Commission, May 23rd, 2003, by Colonel Alan Scott, and reported in the American Forces Press Service, June 4th, 2002. Well, you get the idea. The recruitment and supervision of patsies, Able Danger, Stratus Ivy, Door Hop Galley, and P2OG, Proactive Preemptive Operations Group. Again, not all of them, but only small numbers who are capable of making the key changes to flip the drill live, to take it from the status of a legally sanctioned drill into the territory of a great tragedy. Mass Cal exercises, this is all fairly clear. We get, in particular, the preparation of, the deterrence of the other great powers. That if you tell Russia, guess what, we're going to seize Afghanistan, well, then you better have some retaliatory forces. That would be Global Guardian, nuclear warfighting, Armageddon exercise, with backdoor for rogue launch of nuclear missiles, Offwood Air Force Base, Barksdale, Minot, Whiteman, Amalgam Warrior, Air Defense of the U.S., Crown Vigilance, Air Combat, Apollo Guardian, Space Command, going on, all on 9/11 or immediately previous or in advance preparation. Nuclear missile launch option, Global Guardian computer network attack at Stratcom, Red Team bad insider with access to a key command and control system, opening a back door. We'll be back in a minute.